Hello everyone, welcome back to the course Power System Operation and Control. In the previous videos, we have seen fundamentals of power system. In unit number 1, we have seen concept of real and reactive power, the significance of real and reactive power, the per unit representation of power system, and different concepts related with the reactive power and its control. Also, we have seen different methods by which we can control the reactive power as well the voltage profile. In this video, once again, I will remind you that as far as curriculum of D part 2 is concerned, every unit is having fixed number of hours. That is, for unit number 1, we have 6 hours. So 6 MCQ test, each test is of 5 marks, has been assigned to you through Google Classroom. So it needs you to respond to the MCQ test, which will be considered for the continuous assessment for power system operation and control. And at the end of each unit, there will be a 120 marks MCQ test. It also will be considered for the continuous assessment. Now, this lecture onwards, we will start unit number 2. The objectives of unit number 2 is to obtain mathematical model of synchronous machine, excitation and speed governing system. And the outcome of second unit is at the end of unit, the student will be able to design the mathematical model of synchronous machine. Now let us start with some basic aspects like construction and working principle of synchronous machine. So as all we know that synchronous machine is of two types. One is synchronous motor and other is synchronous generator. Our part of interest is synchronous generator. Now in synchronous generator, as all we know that it will follow or obey the principle of Fleming's right hand rule, in which direction of rotation and the field are the known quantities and direction of current is the unknown quantity. So when we know these two quantities, direction of rotation and direction of magnetic field, we can calculate or we can find out the direction of the current, which is unknown quantity. So as all we know that synchronous generator is having two basic constructional parts. One is stator winding and other is rotor winding. The rotor winding, on the rotor winding, the field, that is field winding, is placed, which is given by a DC current, either from permanent magnets or from the external source, and the armature winding through which we will extract the electrical current or electrical power is placed on the stator winding. In synchronous generator, a DC current is applied, as I said, to the rotor winding, producing a rotor magnetic field. So as the field winding is placed on the rotor part and it is fed by DC current, it will produce a rotor magnetic field. This magnetic field is constant magnetic field. So as rotor is rotating by the external pins, as it is connected to the prime mover, rotor will also rotate and that magnetic field also will rotate. This rotating magnetic field will be cut by the conductors or the winding which is placed on the stator part, which is the armature winding. As armature conductors are having closed circuit path, there will be a induced EMF in the armature circuit, and due to the induced EMF in the armature circuit, we can have the armature current in the circuit, which will extract for the load purpose. So this is very basic aspect of construction and the working principle of synchronous generator. Let us move ahead. Let us see the construction of synchronous machine. So as I said, basic two parts we are having, rotor and stator. Now in the rotor, we are having two types of rotor, especially in the synchronous generator. One is non-salient pole type and other is salient pole type. In the non-salient pole type, there are usually 2 to 4 poles on to the rotor. Here in this picture, you can see this is a non-salient pole rotor of the synchronous generator, and this is salient pole rotor. In this salient pole, there are usually 4 or more poles. The rotor are made by laminated stampings to reduce the eddy current losses. As already you have learned these kind of aspects or things in the electrical machines 1 and 2. So same will be followed or same is applicable for synchronous machine also. So this is the end view of the non-salient pole type rotor of a synchronous generator. In this, here we have the N pole of the synchronous generator, and on the other end, opposite end, we have the S pole. So this is notations, dot notation and the cross notation. The windings are placed inside the slot, and through this we will have poles onto the rotor winding. Let us move ahead. On large generators and motors, brushless exciters are used. So if the field winding is not been provided permanent magnets, it needs us to provide the excitation to the field winding. So whenever there are no permanent magnets onto the rotor as a field winding, it needs us to provide the external DC excitation to the field winding. A brushless exciter is a small AC generator whose field circuit are mounted onto the stator and armature circuits are mounted onto the rotor shaft. The exciter generator's three-phase output is rectified by DC by three-phase rectifier, which is once again mounted on the shaft itself and fed into the main DC field circuit. It is possible to adjust the field current onto the main machine by controlling the small DC field current of the exciter. So as from the utility company or everywhere we are having AC supply. So if you want to convert it into the DC to fed it for the excitation of the synchronous generator, it needs us to convert into the DC by which we can fed it to the excitation, that is field winding of the generator. So for this, it needs us to use a three-phase rectifier. Sometimes it is mounted onto the shaft of the alternator, but nowadays most of the synchronous generators are of permanent, means rotor of the synchronous generator are of permanent magnet type. So in this type, there is no requirement of three-phase rectifier, where we have the permanent magnet for the excitation. Let's see when we have a three-phase rectifier, what sort of arrangement or sort of circuit is there in the synchronous generator. A brushless exciter, a low three-phase current is rectified and used to supply the field circuit of the excited located onto the stator. The output of the exciter armature circuit onto the rotor is rectified and used as the field current of the main machine. So this is the exciter which is of the rotor part. Same is what the three-phase rectifier. So when we have a field winding onto the stator part, so through three-phase rectifier, we will give the excitation to the field winding, and when we have the exciter onto the rotor, then through the slip rings and brushes, we are going to provide it to the the rotor of the synchronous generator. To make the excitation of the generator completely independent of any external power source, a small pilot exciter is often added to the circuit. The pilot exciter is an AC generator with a permanent magnet mounted onto the rotor shaft and a three-phase winding onto the stator, producing a power for the field circuit of the exciter. This is very common nowadays. Uh, let's see the construction. This is a typical rotor of the synchronous generator. A rotor of large synchronous machine with a brushless exciter mounted onto the same shaft. So here you can see the arrangement by which the things or the concept will be get clear to you. This is the exciter part of the synchronous generator, which is mounted onto the rotor, and these are the salient poles of the synchronous generator. Now let's see some mathematical formulas which are related with the synchronous generator. Most used is the frequency and the synchronous speed. By definition, the synchronous generator produces electricity whose frequency is synchronized with the mechanical rotation of the speed. So as all we know that synchronous speed will be dependent on the number of poles and the rotor speed of the synchronous generator. So if we look at the formula, frequency is equals to P by 120 into N. That is, F is the electrical frequency in hertz, Nm is the rotor speed of the machine, P is the number of poles. So more convenient form for this formula is 120 F by P, which is what the formula for the synchronous speed of the alternator. Most of the steam turbines are running at the speed near to 3000 RPM for 50 Hertz and near to 3600 RPM for 60 Hertz. So this is having a number of two number of poles specifically they're having most of the time, and where we have the low speed turbines, that is especially for the hydropower plants which are running uh, around the speed of 200 to 300 rpm. So in this kind of generators we have many poles onto the rotor winding, so there is an inverse relationship in between number of poles of the rotor. That is, if we have two number of poles, the frequency, the rotating speed will be for 50 hertz, it is 3000 rpm. So if we increase the number of poles, speed might be going to lower and lower. Let's see about the induced voltages in three-phase set of coils. In three coils, each of NC turns placed around the rotor magnetic field, the induced in each coil will have same magnitude and phase differing by 120-degree electrical. So as all we know that synchronous generator are three-phase, generating three-phase electrical power. So each phase is displaced by 120-degree electrical. So E A dash of T is equals to NC phi omega M cos omega T. This is of phase A. For phase B, E B dash of T equals to NC phi omega M cos of omega M T minus 120 degree. And for phase C, that is ECC dash of T, this equals to NC phi omega M cos of omega M T minus 240 degree. So all three phases are displaced by 120-degree electrical. In this, the peak voltage is being given by E max is equals to NC phi omega n, and in other way we can have E max is equals to 2 pi n C phi into F. The RMS voltage EA is equals to 2 pi by root 2 NC phi F is this equals to root 2 pi NC phi into F. So induced EMF is dependent on the flux which is in the air gap, And this is a resultant flux in the air gap, resultant of rotor flux and stator flux, and the frequency. So if you want to maintain the frequency constant, we have to maintain the flux constant as well. The internal generated voltage of synchronous generator, which is given by, means its magnitude is given by the formula EA equals to root 2 pi NC phi into F, which is in shorter form K into phi into omega, where K is constant, which represents the construction of machine, and phi is the flux, where omega is the speed of the rotation. Since flux of the machine depends on the field current through it, the internal generated voltage is the function of the rotor field current. This is very important point. Since flux of the machine is depends on the field current, the internal generated voltage is a function of rotor field current. Means if we increase the excitation, there will be increasing induced EMF into the armature circuit. If we reduce the field current, that is excitation, there will be a reduction in the magnitude of voltage generated by the generator, which is armature voltage. The internally generated voltage in a single phase of a synchronous machine EA is not usually the voltage appearing at its terminals. So induced EMF is different and terminal voltage is different. It equals to the output voltage we find only when there is a no armature current in the machine. The reason that the armature voltage EA is not equal to the output voltage V phi R. There are means why we have a difference in the magnitude of induced EMF and the terminal voltage. There might be the reason of distortion of air gap magnetic field caused by the current flowing into the stator, that is just because of armature reaction, self inductance of the armature coils and resistance of the armature coils. So when armature circuit is open, whatever EMF will get is induced EMF. So as I said, there is a difference in between induced EMF and the terminal voltage. And the reasons are the losses in the armature circuit. It might be because of armature reaction. It might be the voltage drop due to the self-inductance of the armature coil, or it might be due to the resistance of the armature coil. So all these parameters means armature reaction, self-inductance, and the resistance. Across all these parameters, we will have a voltage drop, and therefore the magnitude of terminal voltage is always less than the induced EMF of the synchronous generator. Now, as you have studied the armature reaction in the earlier part, I will just revise the things which are really important for this unit. So armature reaction is what the interaction in between stator field and the rotor field. So the in the initial time frame or in the initial part of the working of synchronous generator, as field winding is placed onto the rotor, it will produce the magnetic field in the air gap which is in between the stator part and the rotor part. This magnetic field or this created magnetic field is been cut by the armature conductors. So when field is been cut by the armature conductors, and due to the closed circuit part of the armature, that is which is pressed onto the stator, the current will flow, and that flowing current will also produce the magnetic field. So now we have two magnetic field. One is created by the field winding, and one is created by the armature winding. We, we will place field winding onto the rotor, and we will have armature winding onto the stator part. So whenever these two fluxes are going to react or interact with each other, there will be a reduction in the field strength of the synchronous generator. So field winding armature flux and armature winding flux, they are going to counter each other, and therefore as I said, we will have, or we will consider, a resultant magnetic field uh, for the further detailing of the induced EMF in the synchronous generator.